What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here. We're live on a Sunday. We're back. Beardo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Nothing much. I'm good. The Angels beat the Astros yesterday. We got the rubber match today. So it's been a little chippy series. So we'll see if we can get it done today.
What's Angels' record?
37 and like 39. Two games under 500.
Wow.
Which at this point of the season isn't too bad. The Angels.
That's a huge win for you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Just wait till Anthony Rendon comes back.
Fuck that, dude. That guy's such a bum. What a bum, dude.
And, of course, we got John Matrix from Black and White Sports. What's up, John?
What's going on? Doing good, man. Doing good. Love Sundays.
Love Sundays. I'm tired, man. I was out at the beach yesterday. Got burnt as fuck. It just drained, but we're here. You know, you're kind of burnt where it like hurts to wear a shirt. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of burnt I am. Burnt to a fucking crisp. But that's okay. That's all right. Interesting stuff going on in the sports world. I did not have an opportunity to make a ton of videos this week just because I got some family in town and stuff like that. So I've been super busy. But obviously we had a big dust up early on in the week in the WNBA surrounding Caitlin Clark, which that story exploded on social media, which is wild. We've got the same Stanley Cup champions in the Florida Panthers after beating the Oilers for the second year in a row. Man, Canada just can't catch a break when it comes to that Stanley Cup.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, like in the past like 10 years, we've got like 5 Stanley Cup victories here in the state of Florida, and Canada can't get one in like 30 years or something.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't even know that.
It's time to call it quits, Canada. I mean, to be fair, basically all like a bunch of Canadian players are on all these teams. But in terms of the teams in Canada, you know, get fucked. Yep. Basically how it is. American supremacy. Florida supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Florida supremacy. B-Chain did a 6-mile mountain bike ride with my dad. Good time. I'm glad God taught the Mets a lesson, getting their shit packed for the last week for their transgression. Now they can resume being a good baseball team. Cheers. Yeah, the Mets. You know, we talked about what happened with the Mets and their pride stuff. We talked about that all yesterday. They went on a 7-game losing streak after that.
Yep.
Yes, they did.
They finally broke it.
Yeah, they broke out in a big way. I think they had like 7 bombs last night.
It's like
or something.
11-4 was the score, I think.
Yeah, I think they had like 7 solo home runs. I think Juan Soto hit at least 1, maybe 2. Otherwise, that would have been one of the topics today, is that the Mets are winless since we roasted them for their pride flag national anthem bullshit. There's been a couple weird baseball stories out there. The Dodgers and the Padres got very chippy in their series as Fernando Tatis kept getting hit. Shohei Ohtani got hit several times. One was obviously very much to send a message. Bench is clear. The managers got into a fucking fight in Padres when it comes to Padres Dodgers. And then these two, their teams, the Angels and the Astros, got a little chippy as well.
Yep. Bench is cleared the other night. And then Ron Washington had to step away from being the Angels manager. He's still involved with the team. He's there for practices and batting practices and pregame warm-ups, but then he's just fucks off and just watches the game.
Yeah, it said, he had a health scare or something, and his heart, might not be good. And then they pan up while he's not managing the team. He's up in the press box eating a fucking plate full of chicken wings. Okay, his heart seems fine then if he can down that plate full of chicken wings. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Ron Washington. He's old, man. He's getting up there. So yeah. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
I like seeing benches clear in baseball.
Oh yeah,
usually nothing ever happens. But in the NBA, if you get off that bench, you cross that line, suspended.
Yeah, I mean they try to do what they can in the NBA to prevent teams from getting involved, like people on the benches from getting involved.
Yeah, but what they did to Tim Duncan was bullshit.
Oh yeah, 100%. Every once in a while, you do see a good NBA scrap, like a real scrap. You remember when Draymond Green a couple years ago had Rudy Gobert in a fucking chokehold?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Or how about when LeBron elbowed that guy and his face was all bloody and he's just charging like a raging fucking bull towards LeBron?
Oh,
usually
Pistons guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually you don't see like real fights in the NBA per se, but in baseball, those guys, they'll throw off their hats and they'll start swinging.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was one between the Red Sox and the Yankees a few years ago. Joe Kelly plunked a guy, and that was a huge fight.
It was actually recently the anniversary of one of my favorite benches clearing incidents in history. Let me look up Kyle Farnsworth. Kyle Farnsworth, super tall flamethrower back like 20 years ago or something. Something like that for the Cubs. Yeah, 2003. I want to see. Here it is. Here it is. All right. I recently saw this because it was the anniversary, and it's one of my favorite clips of all time. Kyle Farnsworth, nobody you really want to fuck with. Okay, pretty tall dude. Obviously, no problems with physical contact. He's pitching in the game. Reds pitcher squares around a bunt, I believe, and obviously, someone squares around a bunt. You kind of throw it up and in, make that bunt difficult for them. Here's what ensued.
That's a big run over at first base. And it's a pitch off the glove of Miller. So they don't have to sacrifice now. As Olmedo moves, and now Wilson and Farnsworth get into it. Oh, a takedown by Farnsworth, and a couple of haymakers landed. Whoa!
Now, you missed the initial shot. Is Sean Casey getting into it over there? But there's Kyle Farnsworth after doing the damage. Watch what he fucking did, bro. This is great.
Reds over to their dugout. Farnsworth comes up and in on Wilson, who was trying to punt. The pitch was a wild pitch.
Looks like Wilson got the worst of that one.
There were some haymakers landed by Farnsworth. There's no doubt about that.
Wow.
Wilson.
Yeah, see, that's the difference
Decleated him.
That's the difference between the NBA and baseball fights. Baseball fights, they're like, fuck it, we're just going at it.
Mm-hmm. The best one of all time has got to be Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura.
Oh, yeah, Robin Ventura. I was thinking about that. Old-ass Nolan Ryan. He was like, what, 44 when that fight happened?
Yeah.
Had him in a fucking headlock.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, there's great ones. I recently, I don't want to say recently, maybe a month ago or whatever, finally got around to watching the Red Sox, what is it, 2004 World Series? Whatever, they came back from 0-3 against the Yankees.
That was 2004.
Yeah, 2004. They did a documentary on that, which was fantastic, but it highlighted a bunch of the stuff that had gone on, in the lead up and the animosity between them and the Pedro Martinez, Don Zimmer fucking fight and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Old ass Don Zimmer.
Remember when Zach Greinke broke his collarbone trying to fight a guy? Yeah. He plunked a guy. The guy charged the mound. Zach Greinke shoulder checked him and broke his fucking collarbone. He was out for like the rest of the year.
Damn.
Yeah.
I just love this fucking takedown because he goes there thinking something's about to happen. And then you see
body slam.
You see right here, he's like, I just made a
That's
big
tackle.
fucking mistake. Holy shit. Boom. Goes down and a couple big shots thrown. But yeah, it's one of my favorites.
What year was that?
2003.
Oh, okay.
2003. It's a fun team. And I don't know if anybody's watched it either, but the Malice at the Palace. I don't know if that was a 30 for 30 or
I
whatever.
remember exactly where I was, man. I was shocked by that.
I was a fairly big Ron Artest fan. I remember I was paying a lot of attention to the NCAA tournament that year when he was with St. John's and then he comes in the draft. That's when the Bulls had the number one and the number, I forget what number fucking pick Ron Artest was, but they had two picks in the first round and one overall, and then the one they used to get Artest. And they got Elton Brand and Ron Artest on the Bulls and rooting for Ron Artest. It didn't really work out. He goes to the Pacers, obviously still in Indiana. I still got a lot of news and everything. And that was one of the most wild scenes I've ever seen. Yeah. Jermaine O'Neal with that like flying fucking punch to that dude.
Yeah, that was the wildest fight ever.
Mm-hmm.
One of the weirdest moments, though, in the NBA, I remember this player I believe he's on the Timberwolves. This was in the 90s. And he got ejected from the game, and he refused to leave the court. It got so bad they actually had to get his mother to come down, and she was on the microphone telling him, hey, you need to leave or whatever. Who was that? I can't remember his name.
Had to get the mama involved?
Yes, his mother was on the court on the microphone trying to get her to leave.
That's wild. Remember when Popovich, when like Spurs fans were booing Kawhi or whatever, and Popovich like, hey, don't stop this. We don't do this here. We don't boo people here.
That was like a few years ago.
That was a few years ago.
That
was
Pop.
Like, I get it. It's okay to boo. It's okay to boo other teams.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Alex McCarthy for 2. Leighton Gay, Meta PC, Code RK Outpost, or Beardo. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex
McCarthy. Appreciate it. Sandstorm, good morning. Just wanted to. Oh, well, there you go.
Sandstorm with the 2 says, good morning. Just wanted to hear Beardo read my super chat. Thank you, Sandstorm, for the $2.
Hey, I think Powerline is right. J.R. Ryder was that NBA player.
J.R. Ryder. That is back in the day. Early 90s, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Psychmonger, Jose Ramirez, Tim Anderson fight is the best. That's a good one.
Obviously, Ruth Neto Odor.
Yeah, I was going to say Jose Batista and Odor was obviously legendary. One of the best shots. Like one of the cleanest shots we've ever seen. And the fact that Jose Batista didn't go down is kind of crazy.
That pretty much ended Jose Bautista's career after that. He was never the same.
Wu-Tang Dan. Even I'd take $30 million to fight Tom. Might last 5 seconds. Yeah, so we got some very out of the blue news last night. UFC, there's been a big debate swirling for months now about Jon Jones, the heavyweight champ, ducking Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champ. And I mean, Aspinall's been the interweight champ for a year and a half, almost 2 years at this point, something like that. And seems like Jon Jones had no interest in fighting him. This is a story that had been circulating and swirling for quite some time now. And then apparently Jon Jones, who a lot of people do, even with all of the crazy stuff, even with the PED stuff, even with the constant criminal stuff, a lot of people do consider Jon Jones to be kind of the best pound for pound MMA fighter of all time. He decided to step away. He really doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. Apparently, he asked for a lot of money. Did he really want to take that money? Or was he pricing himself out so he didn't have to fight? He's done. He's retired. He calls it quits. And it all came up, when they were just asked about the uncertainty in the heavyweight, with the heavyweights right now and what was going to happen. And Dana White drops this bomb.
Heavyweight division take the title away from him.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
And so just like that.
Wow.
Jon Jones is done. And he posted a big, thank you to everybody for supporting me. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. And then in very typical Jon Jones fashion, within hours of this announcement, it was revealed he's in more trouble with the law. Jon Jones hit with new criminal charge in New Mexico for leaving the scene of an accident.
Wow.
While potentially maybe impaired. And that really is the story with Jon Jones. When you look at obviously all the crazy, incredible stuff he's done in the ring, but it's been chaotic as shit outside the ring. We go back, look at the last 13 years, DUI hit and run in New York, felony hit and run in Albuquerque, probation violation in Albuquerque, battery charge in Albuquerque strip club, aggravated DWI in Albuquerque, domestic violence and battery in Las Vegas, assault and threatening drug tester in Albuquerque, and now recent criminal charge for fleeing scene of a car crash in Albuquerque. A lot of bad stuff going down in Albuquerque for Jon Jones.
Damn.
Yeah.
Some ain't right with those Jones boys, man.
Yeah. I don't know, Beardo, what do you think, man?
The writing's been on the wall for this. Do you guys remember a few months ago there was that clip of Jon Jones? He was supposed to do an interview about fighting and who his next opponent was going to be. He walked into the room and then the interviewer had a thick Australian accent. He sits down. He's like, "Yeah, guys, I'm not doing this interview. because he knows he was just going to be drilled about fighting Tom Aspinall the entire time. He wanted nothing to do with him, so I'm not surprised by this at all. Now, Jon Jones has retired before, right, and come out of retirement. So, or like, maybe not as stern as this retirement is. Maybe he means it this time, but I don't know. I wouldn't be at all surprised if you see in a few months or a year's time that Jon Jones comes back to do one more actual retirement fight. Who knows? But I'm not really surprised by this.
Look, he's old. You know what? He's like 37 or somewhere around there. So he is old, obviously, for a fighter.
Yep.
Do you want to go out if you're facing a guy who truly you do think is going to be a tough matchup like Aspinall? Do you just say, "Hey, I'm done," or do you fight him, lose? Do you get an immediate rematch? And how does your body recover at this age? Like all these questions. I get just wanting to be done. However, the process has just been dragged out for way too long. And I think that's what makes what leaves a real sour taste in people's mouths. If 6 months ago he just said, "Look, guys, I'm good. I'm retiring. I don't have it in me anymore. I'm just ready to step away," I think people would be like, "Okay, that's fine. Jon Jones, look at this career." But the way the last several months have gone, with him apparently just being so difficult to book and not wanting to do it and really no interest in doing it, then coming out and saying this, that's why the criticism is there. And I think it's understood criticism. But Jon Jones is done. Jon Jones is done.
End of an era.
End of an era. And yeah, obviously you can't talk about Jon Jones either without talking about the PED stuff that did happen as well. So
yeah, especially with more, intensive testing and stuff. A lot of those guys in like the early 2000s were juiced to the fucking gills in the UFC. Now there's a lot more testing, and I think you can get some sort of pass for like TRT, but like still then it's only a certain amount that these guys are legally allowed to, have. And Jon Jones used to fucking blast the gear back in the day. Everybody did in the UFC. So I don't know.
End of an era.
Yep.
Officially done. Tornado freaks. Thunder up. Tighten up. Trump up. Well, you're going to have an opportunity to see your Thunder up tonight. Game 7 NBA Finals. We'll talk about that in a second, actually. Emilio. What's up, Emilio? With 10 Sports Wars memberships.
There you go.
10 of them.
Thank you, Emilio.
Shout out to all the new channel members. Connor Akers, Mason of the Pistons, the best NBA PA announcer. Thank you, Connor. Pistons were an exciting team this year, 100%.
Speaking of juiced up fighters, Canelo Alvarez and Crawford, they fight in a few weeks. That should be a big boxing match. Yeah, July 12th. I think we're going to do a locals watch party for that. Canelo Crawford. Yeah.
I have not
That'll
been
be a good one.
I'm not a huge boxing guy, not a huge Canelo guy either, like period. I've watched very few of his fights. But yeah, locals watch party, that would be cool.
Yeah. Canelo's getting up there too, man. He's getting up there. Yeah, so who knows how many more he's got left. September? No, it's July 12th, guys. I just looked it up. Unless they postponed it. The last I seen is July 12th.
Let's see.
I'm pulling it up right now.
When does Canelo
What the fuck?
fight next?
I take everything I just said back. You guys are right. I'm wrong. I'm a fucking idiot. It's September 12th, not July 12th. My apologies.
I think it's
but they just
September 13th.
I'm seeing Friday, September 12th.
Yeah, Saturday, September 13th, I think is what I have right here. Live on Netflix on a Saturday.
Yeah, so Google is telling me Friday, September 13th, but then I click on a different link and I see Saturday, September 13th. Anyways, my apologies, guys. I'm a fucking idiot.
Can't trust that AI stuff, Beardo.
Apparently. But it's weird because today they're doing their like press conference today. Why would they be doing it today if they're not fighting for another 3 months?
just to generate the hype, you know.
I guess. All right. Well, September 13th, we're doing a watch party. Fuck, man. I was pumped for that, dude.
Well, tonight there is something on. I don't know how many people here are going to watch, but I will be tuning in certainly for Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Indiana Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder, two teams who have never won an NBA championship before. Oklahoma City, massive favorites going into this series, and it has been back and forth. Thunder were up 3-2. They went into Indy to try to close it out, and that did not happen. The Pacers absolutely blew them out of the water on Thursday, I think is when they last played. And now it all sets up for a Game 7 Sunday night matchup at 8 p.m. I think if you actually care about basketball and stuff, if you are an actual basketball fan, I think the series has been really interesting. And I think it's nice to see fresh blood. I think it's good to see a lot of these matchups. The way the Pacers play, I think is very, very fun. More so than, to me, at least the way a lot of other teams out there are playing. And it is probably going to go down in record as the lowest rated NBA Finals in history, because this is not something that's going to attract general audience members. And the NBA has done everything they can to really push a lot of general audience members away over the last several years. One of the reasons you're having this ratings problem. But with all that being said, for me, I've really enjoyed the series. Go ahead.
From a pure basketball standpoint, this is good for the future of the NBA on the court, regardless of how many people watch. You got rising new stars coming out now. The LeBrons, the Stephs, I mean, their days are over with now. Technically, though, OKC has won a title, Supersonics 78. But I get it. They're not in Seattle anymore.
They're not them anymore.
Yeah. They got the history, though. They kept the history.
Yeah, that doesn't count. But yes, Oklahoma City Thunder, as this team, we've never seen them win before. Two very small market teams. I've been pulling for the Pacers, one, because a little more attachment to the Pacers growing up in Indiana, even though the Bulls are my team, but also they were a significant underdog. And as you can see, the spread opened up. OKC's been a massive favorite in this series. And the spread opened up at -8.5 OKC at home to close this thing out. I hope we get a great game. And what I don't know is if the Pacers win, who is the finals MVP? Because obviously Halliburton's had some big moments, but he also has had some very poor games, including one where he got injured. So, a little bit understandable for that. Siakam hasn't exactly had any big dominant game like we saw him have in the Eastern Conference Finals that led to him getting Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I do not know, but I fucking hope they win. John, do you care? You're closer to Oklahoma City.
They're a lot like, I would say probably the 2004 Pistons, where it was kind of like a team effort, even though they had some really good players, but they didn't really have that one superstar.
Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace teams.
They were great on defense, though.
Yeah. Yeah, Pacers are much more like a lot of guys have made big shots and big plays for them. They move the ball really well. I think Rick Carlisle is a fantastic coach. You know what's insane is that apparently Rick Carlisle is the oldest head coach to ever coach a game in the NBA Finals.
How old is he?
He's like 63 or 65 or something. I don't know. But it's
How
wild
then?
that he's
How
the
was
oldest
Pop
one
when he
ever.
won his last title then? Because the Spurs won a title. Oh, man, that was probably 10 years ago. And Pop is like, now it has to be Pop.
Rick Carlisle, oldest coach in NBA Finals. Let me look this up here. How old is Rick Carlisle? Because this is what was said on the broadcast, and I was shocked.
Yep.
So he's 100 days older than Greg Popovich was
Okay.
the last time Popovich made the finals.
Because Pop is 76 right now, so he would have been about 65 when he won his last title.
Yeah, I think
How
Rick
old
Carlisle's
was
65.
How old was Phil Jackson the last time the Lakers won when he was their coach?
Yeah, that was a question I had
He
too. I mean,
had
when
to have
did
been up there?
was it 2000? Was it 2012?
Because Phil Jackson is about the same age as Phil he's gonna be 80 this year, but he's still roughly in that same age.
When the Lakers
2010
beat the Celtics.
2010 was his last NBA title.
Yeah,
So that's 15
2010.
years ago. So he
he'd have
was
been like
right in that
64 or
ballpark.
65 or
he was-
something then.
Yeah, he's right in that ballpark.
Yeah. So, which it was just really shocked because I never would have guessed that in a million years. Who's the old? I would have guessed Popovich, right? That probably would have been my guess. I think Larry Brown was pretty old as well. I think Larry Brown was like
Larry
64
Brown's still
maybe.
coaching, right? He's like 80 something, right? I think he's still coaching somewhere.
But if like to me, this Pacers team, I've always thought Rick Carlisle is a really good coach. I've always thought he did more in Dallas with less at times. This would be a huge win for this type of team and the way it's built. And honestly, I think it could change the way the NBA builds teams. Right? Because we've seen the same thing for the past 15 years in the NBA. We've seen these superstars coming together. We've seen all this. That's not exactly the way the Pacers were built. And I think both of these teams are also not in the luxury tax threshold. So in this era where everybody's trying to be a super team, where everybody's trying to team up with everybody, not exactly the way that we saw these teams built, which I respect. And one of them is going to win.
Yeah.
And that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, as much as we talked about the Luka Doncic trade and all this stuff, the Paul George for like 4 first-round picks and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to head to the Clippers is going to end up being one of the biggest trades of all time in terms of what it does for a franchise, which is nuts. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
That's tonight at 8.
That is tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern.
7
Nice.
Central.
Game 7.
Thanks, John.
He's Central. He's got to rep. He's got to rep his Central guys. Will's
I'm in
not
Central
here,
time,
so we'll
man.
say 9 Pacific. Or it's not 9, 5 Pacific. Will
5 o'clock.
will be probably joining us next week. He had some stuff going on this morning, so he's not joining us here today, but he will be back, guys.
Yep.
I forgot to mention that at the start. Let's see. D's Huevos. Canelo usually fights around the Mexican holidays, like 16 and Cinco de Mayo.
Okay. Cool.
September 16th is Mexican Independence Day, right? So
I don't
I guess
fucking care.
that weekend makes sense. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. I don't know why I know that, but I'm almost positive September 16th is actual Mexican Independence Day. Cinco de Mayo is something else. Wu-Tang Dan, is Canelo the greatest ginger sportsman of all time?
Maybe. I mean, you got it. Well, Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire ain't even going to be in the Hall of Fame, man.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Big Mac.
Well, maybe when, Mark McGuire passes away, then maybe he'll be allowed in the Hall of Fame.
I got to sign Mark McGuire Cardinals jersey downstairs.
Badass.
Oh,
I think
really?
that was that framed in the Content House, I think?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because he was a bench coach for the Padres while I was living in San Diego.
Cool.
Finally, I was able to track him down with a Cards jersey and have him sign it, which is cool.
Dude, I swear, if Mark McGuire suddenly passes away tomorrow, I'm fucking cursed.
Is he
That
ever
happens
getting in?
quite
You
often
think?
with you?
Is Mark McGuire ever getting in? I
I'm
think
talking
all
about
those.
even after death.
I think all those guys should be in. That's the thing.
I think Pete Rose is the domino. If he gets in, I
Yeah.
think
So
it's gonna
we're all
open for
talking
of
about
them to
this
get
like
in.
we think Pete Rose is going to get in.
I'm talking about if he
Well,
gets
no,
in.
But
no, yeah.
that's-
John said if he gets in because
Right,
he's eligible now, but
Yeah.
who knows if
Exactly.
he gets voted in?
That's my thing is when we talked about that, and it was a big deal, the idea that Pete Rose is eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if the people voting for the Hall of Fame, I don't know if 75% of them are going to say Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame. They're sticklers, man.
But think about how crazy this is. You have probably the greatest right-hand pitcher, probably the greatest hitter, and one of the all-time greatest all-around players. None of them are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Imagine that being like Michael Jordan being kicked out of
those players
Basketball Hall of
saying
Fame.
Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, and Pete Rose. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Think about how crazy that is.
Yep.
That's like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Nah, you guys can't be in. That's crazy.
Yeah. We'll see. I think all those guys deserve to be in. All of them.
They all should. They're putting lesser players in. I mean, like borderline guys they're putting in.
I was looking at Barry Bonds' fucking Baseball Reference stats the other day, just randomly. And in 2004, Barry Bonds reached base more times than he had plate appearances in 2004.
Because of all the intentional walks?
With all the intentional walks. He had like 250 intentional walks that year. So obviously those aren't going to count as an official plate appearance. And he was on base like 2 or 3 more times than he had actual plate appearances.
Yeah.
His on base percentage was like fucking in like 600 or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up right now.
That's weird how I'm trying to think, because did the MLB switch it recently where it's an automatic walk? They can say we're intentionally walking you, and they don't even have to throw pitches anymore.
They don't have to throw the 4 pitches anymore.
You don't have to throw the 4 pitches anymore. But back then, when they were intentionally walking Barry Bonds, they did have to throw all 4 pitches.
You had to throw all 4 pitches.
So that would technically count as a at-bat.
No. A walk doesn't count as an at-bat.
A walk.
Okay.
Yeah, a walk doesn't count as a bat.
Okay.
Yeah, it never has. Walk or hit by pitch as well.
Well, not necessarily an at-bat, but you said at plate appearance. But I guess you're right. Same thing. Okay.
Sorry, I guess I probably should have said he reached base more at bats than he had, not plate appearances. I said it wrong. Yeah. That's my fault.
Okay. All right.
And I wish they would actually throw the 4 pitches again. I don't like all right, he's going to get up to the plate.
Yeah, because there's always room for error.
Yeah. I think they should be able to.
Was that a COVID
pitches.
Thing?
No, I think it was
kind of like
like
thing.
They probably
it was with the pace of the game. That's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I said it wrong. At bats 373 as opposed to plate appearances. He had 373 actual at bats. And when you add up the hits, it adds up to like 375. He had like more hits than actual at bats in the year. Just fucking insane.
His OPS is insane.
232 base on balls, and then 45 home runs. Or we just add hits here. So 232 bases on balls, 135 hits. That should add up to what? 375. So 375 times on base compared to 373 at bats. That's what I've been trying to say.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which is insane. On base percentage of 609.
You want to know something that I think is kind of crazy? If you look at his RBIs, it's shocking that he even has the RBIs that he has, considering nobody wanted to pitch to him. He has almost 2,000 RBIs. That's crazy.
Well, it's pretty wild that on a 73 home run season, you only have 137 RBI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those are like shockingly low numbers for what you feel like it should be. But you factor in 177 bases on balls. Maybe oftentimes when a man's on second or something, you got a base open and stuff.
And that's great. 2004 when he was old. 232 walks.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those were intentional.
Virtually all of them. 120.
Oh, I told you.
Not
Okay.
virtually all,
Wow.
but
Okay.
of those, a lot of them, again,
Yeah,
even when he wasn't getting intentionally walked, people were
Yeah.
pitching way the fuck around him.
Yeah, you know when they're actually trying to not really pitch to him.
OPS 1.422.
Crazy.
That was a different era, bro. You remember all the sports, like you'd be watching Sports Center and they'd just cut in, they'd cut in on a Barry Bonds at bat as he's chasing 60 or chasing whatever. Stevie puts another one in McCovey Cove.
There was
his final season, he was like 42 years old.
I
Dude still had
couldn't
like
tell
27 home runs at that age. That's crazy.
Yeah, 28 home runs at 42.
Man.
There's this clip of Tim Salmon during the 2002 World Series, and I forget what game it was. It was maybe it was Game 5 or Game 6, but Barry Bonds hit a home run off of Troy Percival, and there's this clip. They're showing the Angels dugout, and Tim Salmon, you can read his lips clearly. He says, "That is the farthest baseball I've ever seen hit." Fucking wild, man.
The only real gripe you can actually pick a bone with Barry Bonds is he didn't really hit in the postseason, which is really crazy considering how great he was.
With 7 MVPs, right?
Yeah.
7-time MVP
MVPs.
Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Will never sniff the Hall of Fame.
Kind of like Justin Verlander in a way. Verlander, all-time great pitcher, 1 World Series win.
Same thing with
In the World
Kershaw.
Series. Yeah.
Kershaw, great pitcher, couldn't do it in the postseason.
Yeah. Yep.
We have much different conversations surrounding baseball players and titles than we do with
you don't
a lot
have
of
to
other
win.
sports.
It's so
Right.
many other factors, man. I don't blame a player for not winning a title in baseball. It's impossible to win on your own.
Well, yeah, and that's baseball as well. It's so everything is so segmented, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, okay, guy gets fucking 600 at bats in a season. This is his batting average. Like we have all of these things that you can look at in a vacuum. And even if you're on a dog shit team, whatever, okay. Whereas in the NFL, what kind of system you're in can make a huge difference. The other weapons on your team can make a huge difference. And it's not saying that has no effect, right? The idea that Jeff Kent was able to be protected by Barry Bonds in the lineup, and like things like this do matter, right? And depending on how stacked your lineup is, sometimes you will get better stuff. But ultimately, it comes down to a fucking spreadsheet full of numbers that you can look at for baseball. That we give a lot of people passes for if they never win a championship.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a great player, you're only batting like 4 times in a game. And if you're playing the outfield, how many actual plays are you actually making out there during a game? Because the ball can be hit anywhere.
Yeah. And if you're look at Paul Skeens' numbers this year, right?
Right.
Paul, say this is Paul Skeens' career. This is the rest of his fucking career on a dog shit Pirates team where he's essentially the best pitcher in baseball or one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he can't get wins because his team sucks.
He's got a 1.8 ERA with like 3 wins on the season. If that,
like 2-6 or something like that.
I'm looking it up right now.
He's got a losing record for sure.
He's
with an
4-6
insane
this
ERA.
Year. 4-6 this year with a 1.85 ERA.
Yeah. That happened to Nolan Ryan when he had like a super low ERA. It happened to Roger Clemens also, both when they were with the Astros. Because Clemens in 2004, he was 13-9, and his ERA was like 1.6 or something like that, but he got no run support.
Bro, Paul Skeens has more WAR than he has actual wins. Like, Paul Skeens has a 4.4 WAR, so wins above replacement, and he has 4 wins on the season.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is nuts. But anyway, let me make sure we're good over here. Okay, we're caught up over there. What about over here? We talked about Canelo. Ex Kentaro for 2 says Jon Jones is a homosexual. Maybe.
Okay.
Garth Knight, Elton Brand, I'm sure is a great guy, but what a terrible number 1 pick for the Bulls. The guy was like 6'5" and not athletic like Barkley. Elton Brand, I don't know about 6'5". He was probably 6'8" or something. However, like if you remember, Elton Brand was pretty much the consensus number 1 draft pick that year. After the season he had at Duke and like all of that stuff, pretty much everybody knew it was going to be Elton Brand, and it did not work out long term. But what was that? What year was Elton Brand drafted?
Was it 94?
It was, let's see, 1999.
99. Okay.
The 1999 NBA draft. I want to look at that actually. Yeah, 6'8". Steve Francis was drafted next.
Stevie Francis.
Baron Davis. Lamar Odom. Jonathan Bender. That's the top 5, I think.
Mm-hmm. Now, Steve Francis played for my Rockets, but believe it or not, I was really not a fan of his.
No? He's a highlight reel, man.
Yeah, he put up numbers, and I was like,
Yeah, so Elton Brand, Steve Francis, Baron Davis, Lamar Odom, Jonathan Bender, Wally Zerbiak, Rip Hamilton, Andre Miller, who played for forever, Sean Marion, Jason Terry, Trajan Langdon. He did not hang around for long in the NBA. Alexander Radijevich. I don't remember that guy at all. Corey Maggette, William Avery, Frederick Weiss, and then number 16, Ron Artest, now known as Meta World Peace. The Bulls.
some good players in that draft, though, that you named.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. A lot of Duke players, too. That was a crazy good Duke team. Like, where did that go? I want to get back to that because Elton Brand was from Duke. Trajan Langdon was from Duke. Corey Maggette was from Duke. William Avery was from Duke. All in the top 14. I think Shane Battier may have came out a year later or something from that as well. So, yeah.
He was 2000 draft, right?
Beat Shane for 5. With the prevalence of sports betting now, Rose will get in. The Royds players will eventually get in too, but it'll be once the era is long past. I hope so. Although I think you need a lot of these old baseball writers to fucking die off. That's truly what has to happen. A lot of people that are voting right now, they need to fucking die so they don't have a vote anymore. And then I think you'll see a change. But until they fucking die off, you're not going to see a change. They aren't changing.
Yeah,
Like,
unfortunately, you're right.
Like, these are the same guys who aren't going to vote for a guy because they don't want him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though they'll vote for him next year. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that never made sense to me.
They just don't want the title first ballot on these guys. But they're like, oh, they're a Hall of Famer, but not a first ballot, so we're not going to put them in.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Now, those ballots do have a limit. Isn't it like 10 total on a ballot? Or 10 total that can be elected or something like that?
So there's no limit on, so you can vote for 10. 10 people are eligible. A bunch of people are eligible. You can vote, I believe, for 10 people. 10 is the maximum amount you can vote for, I think, if I remember right. But you don't have to fill in 10. You can fill in 0 and send it back in. You can fill in 3 and send it
And
back
that happens too.
All the time.
And you only have, I think once you're on the ballot, we have 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, and then you go to the Veterans Committee.
I think 5 years after, once you're eligible, you have 10 years and you need to meet a certain threshold of votes. Otherwise, you fall off the ballot.
You need to
like
get
5% or some shit. I don't
something
know.
like that. Yeah. But you need 75% to actually make the hall. So
Storm Shadow says Beardy needs to start talking about baseball writers like he did with Pete Rose.
Give me their names.
Fucking killed him. The American Man for 5. What a crazy Dodgers-Padres series. It's what I want from a rivalry. We beat them twice. There's still the little bro. Go Dodgers. Go to hell, Padres. The American Man. It was an intense series. San Diego has a lot of animosity for the Dodgers, and it's fairly one-sided. Fairly one-sided. They do feel like the little brother. That's very true. Speaking of baseball, right? I had to get to this. I think we might have listened to a Chip Caray call potentially a little bit earlier when we were listening to Kyle Farnsworth, but there's always a lot of things that announcers in the MLB are forced to say, forced to show for, announce a big team event, whether it's some Pride Month, some different type of Pride Month, like for, I don't know, disabilities or whatever. All these different nights that these teams celebrate. Well, Chip Caray, Cardinals announcer, former Cubs announcer, former Brave announcer, now Cardinals announcer, he had a little mishap. He got a couple of these different Pride nights mixed up in his read on air, live. And it was a little bit embarrassing. Cardinals announcer Chip Caray's accidental slur leads to 31-second silence in the booth. Couldn't figure out anything to say after this, but 47 seconds here. We'll let this speak for itself.
Disability Pride Night is Thursday, July 10th, and with a theme ticket, fans take home a Cardinals cap featuring the Disability Pride flag and Cardinals.
Now, what follows is this for 31 seconds. Not saying anything.
Nothing.
Nothing. Till the next pitch.
No call on it.
No call on the next pitch. Just chilling, thinking about what he said. Thinking about what he has to do now. What should he do now?
You just roll with it, man. You just keep going.
Need that one.
And that wasn't even him. That was his broadcast partner. Yeah.
Bro, you can't make this up. Disability Pride.
Fans take home a Cardinals cap featuring the Disability Pride flag and Cardinals in Braille. Details at cardinals.com/theme.
Maybe it's me. I never heard of disability pride.
Yeah, how the fuck is a
I never heard of it.
And
disability pride?
So,
and I'd say that slow so I wouldn't mess it up and get this
that's
whole
that's part of the problem, John. You haven't heard of it. You haven't seen it. You're supposed to empathize with the people who can't see and can't hear out there. Okay? That's their disability.
Yeah, you're part of the problem, John.
And if you look at their flag, it looks very similar to the Alphabet Mafia flag.
I don't know if this is
just into one.
Look, I'm going to be real. I don't know if it's disability pride and it's just associated with disability. I don't know if it's just gay blind people. I have no idea, right? But I can tell you, sometimes those thoughts just come to the forefront when you're talking about pride, like happened for Chip Caray. And look, I just think it's funny. It's obviously just a mistake. It's just a slip of the tongue. It's nothing.
Yeah.
There were some people that wanted him fired for this. And now they've come out and said, look, Chip Caray will not be suspended for accidental homophobic slur, according to sources. It's funny. It's hilarious. But there's no way you should be punished for this. It obviously was accidental.
He immediately corrected himself.
Yeah, and then stayed quiet for 31 seconds. This is not a hot mic scenario. This is not I shouldn't have said it. This is a obvious slip of the tongue. Who fucking cares? Nobody should. Guess what? Half the people this Pride Night is for, they didn't hear it anyway because they're deaf. The other ones, maybe they're not as impacted because they didn't see it. They're not seeing these stories all around. It is hilarious that this got uttered live on television, but in no way should be punished or suspended or anything. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. He didn't do anything wrong, man. He just got, a little tongue twisted, and that's all.
Yeah, that's it. Come on, Chip. It's all right. Chip Caray, son of Harry Caray, by the way. For those that didn't know.
I didn't know that was his father.
What's that?
I didn't know that was his father.
Yep. He was with the Cubs. He was with the Cubs for a long time. After that, I think he then moved on to the Braves, and now he's with the Cardinals. Harry Caray obviously did broadcast for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I know.
For a while,
I know who Harry Caray is, but I kept calling him Chip Caray. I didn't know who his father was.
You did a video on this and called him Chip Caray?
Yeah, Caray. I didn't know that was his father.
Fuck.
I didn't know.
Yeah, Chip Caray, man. I got Chip Caray's autograph on a Cubs program that's still sitting somewhere in all my piles of stuff with a little ballpoint pen from back in the early 90s, maybe 2000. Yeah. Chip Caray was the dude. Pride flag. Pride flag. Garth Knight for 5. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Dickwads, who are closeted gays and also smash long homers.
Well, damn.
Is Barry Bonds gay?
Apparently, according to Garth Knight.
His voice always seemed a little gay, but
yeah,
but I don't know. D's Webos. If Beardo wants a good fight, Tapiria versus Oliveira.
Cool. Look into it.
The American Man for 5. Also, Ohtani pitched again in 2 years in a Dodger uniform. It was quite magical. Can't wait to see him on the mound again today. That was so unexpected. It was right
random.
after a lot of the Clayton Kershaw stuff, the ice stuff, a bunch of controversies flying around the Dodgers, and they're just like, hey, by the way, Shohei pitching tomorrow.
Yeah. And he pitched for 1 inning.
Yeah.
1 inning, gave up a run.
Now, clearly, I don't think that it was to distract. I don't think you would risk Shohei Ohtani's health just for a PR distraction. But it was wild that after all that time, they just announced, yeah, he's randomly going to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Which when he's on, man, he's fucking great.
Could be getting him ready for postseason. But really, this was just like a rehab start for him. Really.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to send Shohei Ohtani while he's, one of the best offensive players in the league. You're not going to send him for a rehab to AAA. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, they're just getting him ready for the postseason. What I think.
Yeah, probably. The Dodgers fucking payroll and lineup is nuts. Oh, what did you guys think about Devers? We didn't talk about that.
That's right.
Rafael Devers fucking for nothing.
Oh, the trade. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For not nothing, but shit. What a move by Boston to send Devers to the San Francisco Giants, and what a pickup from San Francisco, not giving up, what a lot of people thought it would take to him there on a long-term contract.
Yeah, and then he had to play the Red Sox like 5 days later.
Yeah. Obviously a lot of animosity built up between them bringing Alex Bregman in and telling him he's not going to play third base anymore. You're going to be a DH, and him not exactly being happy about that, but okay, I'll be DH. And then you have an injury. They're like, well, actually, we're going to need you to play first.
He's hurt
base,
anyway, right?
Never played. And so he's like, well, okay, but you got to if I'm going to do this, I want it to be mine. I want to be the first baseman. I want to do this. A lot of just animosity between them. But you would think signing a 10-year contract or whatever that was, that you would find a way to work that out, but they just sent him packing, man.
Mm-hmm. And then San Francisco, Buster Posey told him, yeah, you're going to be DH or first base in San Fran. So, we'll see how it works out for him.
Yeah, he's not playing third there.
No, yeah.
And he did say I'd be willing to play first base. Seems a little more willing to play wherever now. But David Ortiz released his text with Devers. Apparently David Ortiz, Big Poppy's sitting there. He's like, look, I told him, I texted him, and he'd never texted me back. I told him, you got to do this, you got to do that, and he never texted me back. Which is funny. Especially when David Ortiz demanded to be traded several times because he didn't feel like he was being utilized the right way in Boston. Now he's like, hey, you just got to do whatever they tell you, man.
He was a DH.
Everybody should watch that Red Sox documentary though, about that team. They're doing a Cubs one at some point, a 2016 Cubs one, which I can't wait for that. I'm going to be excited as fuck for that.
Where's that Red Sox documentary on?
I think it was on Netflix.
Okay.
But it was I don't know if it's called 03 or whatever it is, but it's the year they came down from 03 to win it from the Yankees.
Yeah, 2004. Man, that time flew by. I remember actually being in my friend's house watching that game.
You could. It's 21 years since then. It's a long time,
That's
John.
crazy.
But yeah, 2016. I can't wait for that because 2016 for me, and really the years leading up to that, the couple years leading up to that, and seeing these guys finally play after the Cubs being miserable for a long time, was my favorite time in baseball as a fan in history.
Yeah.
Obviously, I fell in love with baseball in the 90s with all these guys and all the home runs and Sosa and McGuire's, Summer Chase and Sammy hitting 20 home runs in the month of June and all this shit, right? Sosa just recently returned to Wrigley Field, by the way. He's black again.
Yes, I saw that.
He is.
He's black again. But yeah, that 2016 World Series, nobody ever take that away from me. That was amazing.
I remember when the Astros traded Lance Berkman. They got rid of Roy Oswalt. Drake McClain was selling the team. I was like, and Oswalt was my favorite player, man. That hurt. But then
he won a World Series with the Phillies.
Well, here's the thing. All that led to the Altuves, the Bregmans, the Springers. All that led to the Astros actually winning 2 World Series. So looking back at it, I'm like, all right, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the saddest moments in my life after that was seeing within a 24-hour time span, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, and Javi Baez all getting traded.
Mm-hmm.
That it was 100% the right thing. It was the right thing for them to do. They couldn't re-sign all these guys, and looking to see what's happened. Chris Bryant's fallen apart physically. That is a sad story. He's got a bad back, and he's never going to do anything again. But yeah, that's baseball's fun, man. Well, it also brings you great sadness, but whatever.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Sometimes it's fun. Hey, Troy Gloss, man.
Yeah, I mean, I that's all I have. Like you have 2016. All I have is 02. That's all I have. But Troy Gloss was awesome. David Eckstein, Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod.
Yeah. K-Rod. Yeah, Javi's had a resurgence this year. Mm-hmm. Javi's playing center field now sometimes for the Tigers. Batting average is looking pretty good. Javi, I loved Javi. One of the most exciting players I ever saw when he got to play. Loved it. Oh,
sorry. I didn't mean to highlight that. My bad.
Well, and then Kyle Schwarber as well. Schwarber, all he does is fucking hit bombs, basically. But Kyle Schwarber, with the success he's had with the Phillies, is fun to see. He's been in the league 10 years now.
Yeah. Was it 2016 when he played on one knee?
Yes.
Won that World Series on one knee.
In 2016, in the first series, maybe the third game of the season, I think it was a series with the Diamondbacks, he tore his ACL out in the outfield. Tore his ACL, did not play the rest of the year, and then he came back in the World Series. Couldn't really run, but he could fucking swing a bat.
He could hit. Yep.
But he could swing a bat. And he put up great numbers. I want to see if I can find this. I'm going to look at Kyle Schwarber stats. They only used him as a DH for the American League games because that was before everyone had a DH still. Mm-hmm. They only used him for that and, pinch hitting opportunities and things like that. But let's see if we can get playoff batting, advanced batting, postseason batting. 2016. Only played in the World Series. He hit .412 in the World Series.
Damn.
Hit .412 in the World Series. Fuck yeah. We needed it, baby. You never take that shit away from me. We got to talk about WNBA, the WNBA segment of the week, which all stems from something that happened a lot earlier this week, which again, I was, pretty busy with family and everything. So I didn't get a chance to talk about, but we have to talk about it because this is a story that transcended just the sports world and everybody was talking about it because that's what Caitlin Clark does for the WNBA. She's the only person that does that and has ever done that for the WNBA, which is why so many eyes are on her. But what we saw the other game against the Connecticut Sun, a lot of people had problems with. Caitlin Clark used to get knocked around, hard fouls, stuff like that. But then there was this. After getting raked across the face and having a little interaction with a player she has a lot of history with, even going back to the Big Ten in college, this is what happened, and people weren't exactly happy about it. So she gets poked, raked across the face, kind of. This is a little bump, and she kind of shoves back a touch, and then she gets laid out by this big fuck over here. And correct me if I'm wrong, John, this ended up being like double technical fouls.
They called a T on Caitlin Clark?
Yes.
They did.
For what?
They did. For the little tiny push off of after she got hit in the face and the other person came up to her.
You got to be shitting me.
Yeah, this ended up being called double text. A lot of people were very upset about the way this entire game was officiated, right? Caitlin Clark getting hit a lot, stuff like this. It was going viral when it happened. Well, somebody decided to do something about it, and that was Sophie Cunningham of the Indiana Pacers. I'm sure Beardo's a big Sophie Cunningham fan, right?
This past week, I've been a big Sophie Cunningham fan.
Probably never heard of her before this.
Never
she's
heard
one of the
her,
additions
no.
for the Fever this year.
Yeah.
Here's Sophie, and the same player who raked Caitlin Clark and who started all this shit with her in the first place, who has a big problem with Caitlin Clark and always has, are all very physical against each other. This game's basically over. Sophie Cunningham decides to send a fucking message.
With the steal. Sheldon going coast to coast. And we got another breakers here as J.C. Sheldon goes right after Sophie Cunningham. It was a hard foul, no question.
We saw a pretty big scrum in this WNBA matchup.
I don't know if it was StreamYard. Here we go.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul. You could say it's a play on the ball, but
then she just fucking grabs her hair and like pulls her in and says, do something, do something.
Well, you can tell like Sophie Cunningham, she didn't like, it's not like she tackled her. She just tried to like control her. And like, I've done some research on Sophie Cunningham. She has, I don't know if she's a black belt or anything, but she does have a background in Taekwondo. And seeing this, like, she doesn't really throw any punches. She just grabs her by the back of the neck, tries to control her. You can see some of that, background in martial arts coming out there. But it's about damn time that somebody has Caitlin Clark's back, because the league, the WNBA, does not appreciate Caitlin Clark. She gets attacked like this game after game, to the point where I think that Caitlin Clark should just up and fucking leave, because the league does not appreciate her. She's bringing in more revenue than they've ever fucking seen in the WNBA. And like, you get this bullshit. For why? Because she's a good player and she's actually putting your league on the fucking map now. Did you see the clip, Ryan, of Kelsey Plum getting off of the bus, and there's actually fans out there asking for autographs, and she calls them weird. She's like, why are you guys waiting here for us? And they're like, we want an autograph. She goes, don't you guys think that's a little weird? No, motherfucker, you are a professional athlete. This is what happens when your sport is popular. Wow. People buy your merchandise and want you to autograph it so that they can frame it, so that they can brag about it and say, wow, look at this. I got an autograph from one of my favorite players. But Kelsey Plum has never seen this kind of attention before, because Caitlin Clark wasn't in the WNBA at the time. So fans are actually out there waiting for the players to get off the bus, and she calls them weird for waiting there. And she said, yeah, I'll autograph it. I'll only give you one. Like, what the fuck, dude? This league is so fucking retarded. They don't know what to do with themselves now that Caitlin Clark has made the game popular.
They've never actually been professional athletes under a certain level of scrutiny. And now
they've been activists, really.
Go ahead, John.
They've been activists, really. And they better pray that Caitlin Clark does not get injured again, because we saw what the ratings did when she was out for those 2 weeks. Ticket prices plummeted. Nobody watched the games. They went back to the old WNBA.
Yeah, and they have never been under this level of scrutiny. Same thing with these WNBA officials, the officiating, which has been horrible, and some of the calls that led to this thing getting out of hand and led to Sophie Cunningham going out there. And Sophie Cunningham, she's been out like a rock star so far. She got a $400 fine for the foul, by the way.
Yes, she did.
That is not an NBA Centel meme. An actual $400 fine, I believe, was the fine for it. which is kind of funny. It's like a parking ticket, but she exploded on social media, gained like 600,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok or wherever. You got people like Beardo now finally learning exactly who Sophie Cunningham is. And they need an enforcer on the floor to take care of this shit, right? If the refs aren't going to do their job and officiate it properly, you need someone on the floor to do it. We've seen this in sports for a long time. We've seen it in basketball for a long time. And looks like the Indiana Fever may have found their enforcer.
Mm-hmm. About damn time. And she's hot.
And she's hot. So there you go. Now, I will say, I did want to, when it comes to the Kelsey Plum thing, you're 100% right. It's a fucking terrible look for her.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, they're not fans. They are 100% card hawks. Because I have done that before. I've hung out with guys who did that before. The difference is I never sold any of my shit. I just did it to collect. And you guys, I've shown you guys before, like my hundreds and hundreds of autographed cards I have. Those guys who were there, they were there to sell those cards immediately after Kelsey Plum gets done with them.
Oh, okay.
But you're not wrong, though. It is a terrible look because most people aren't going to know that. Most people are just going to think that they're fans trying to get autographs. But whenever you see somebody that has binders like those, several cards of the same player, they're trying to get them to sign it and they're going to sell them online. I want to see if I can find that clip since you brought it up. But it does make them look ungrateful and insufferable.
Yeah, 100%. And holy smokes, while you're looking that up, Metal Slave with a 50 gifted Sports Wars memberships. Thank you, Metal Slave. That's huge, man. Thank you.
50.
And Metal Slave is a chick, by the way. Thank you, Metal Slave.
Thank you, Metal Slave. That's a lot. Shout out to Metal Slave for the 50 gifted memberships. All the new members down here. All the chat turning green thanks to Metal Slave. Now, this is, I think, what you're talking about.
This is it right here. Yep.
And it's by Mini Graphs, right? So their entire thing is a graphing, like, social media thing.
The bus was right here.
Don't you find that kind of weird? Okay.
Can barely hear it. Let me see if I can boost this volume real quick. Give me a second. Where's my volume booster? Here it is. My volume booster. A little more. Everybody needs a volume booster for stupid ass fucking videos like this where people don't post it with the right sound. Here we go. Let's try it again.
The bus was right here.
Don't you find that kind of weird? Okay. Like low-key, come on.
A little bit.
Like low-key? Like low-key?
I'm really turned off right now.
I'm just a fan, though.
I know. I appreciate that.
You sign one? You put my name on it. Awesome.
I'll sign one.
Let's try to get you on that one. Keep going.
Right. So this person's walking up with a fuck ton of Kelsey Plum cards. And you know what? Some dudes are awesome about it. Look, Hunter Renfroe, when he was with the Padres, Hunter Renfroe is one of those guys who was really cool. It didn't matter what you signed in front of him. He'd just sign it. It didn't matter if you put one of these things that had 9 cards on it. He'd sign all 9 until you have a great day and thank you. You know, an awesome dude.
Yeah. It really wasn't louder, Ryan.
What's that?
It wasn't louder.
It wasn't louder for you guys?
No,
it wasn't, but you can hear it.
Okay.
You can hear it, though.
Yeah.
How could it not be? It's way louder for me.
Yeah, it wasn't on our end. It was the same, but it's all good. We heard it anyways.
Did KD get traded? Is this breaking news? John.
Oh, yeah.
What
happened?
Yep. The Phoenix Suns are trading Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets. Wow. And apparently they gave up a lot.
Let's look. Shams got the... Here it is.
I had a feeling he was going to come here. It's not that he...
Here you go. The Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in the 2025 draft, and 5 second-round picks. Future second-round picks.
Yeah. So this is breaking. Just happened as we were live. What is this? 4 minutes ago from Shams. Like Beardo said, 2-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the number 10 pick in this year's draft and 5 second-round picks for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is now a Houston Rocket, ladies and gentlemen. John, you're a Rockets fan. How do you feel about this, especially after the season?
I don't like
just
it, man. I've been pretty clear. I don't like it. He is 37 years old? Jalen Green is a good player. He's like 23 years old. He was the leading scorer on the Rockets. And you traded a lot for an old player that's had no impact since he left Golden State.
And this is a 1 year. He's got 1 year left on his contract, right? I believe.
I'm not sure.
I believe, which is why you're only seeing like a one first round pick and not like 4 or 5, right? It would be a little bit different if he was under contract for longer. That's why you're seeing so many second round picks. Man, Kevin Durant to the Rockets. It's happening. History would be a lot different if Kevin Durant's toe hadn't been on the line when he was with the Brooklyn Nets in that series against the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks might not go on to win that championship. Maybe the Brooklyn Nets do. But nevertheless, here we are, a failed experiment in Phoenix with a lot of great players that it never worked out with. And now he's heading over to a team that had a very good year last year in the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference.
The good thing is Ime Udoka is there. So we have to see he's a damn good coach. And he just got an extension. Well deserved.
Yeah. That's a big shakeup, man.
Do you imagine Rockets give up all of that and then KD stays for 1 year and then he jumps ship or retires after?
Yeah. He can still score. He can still shoot. But man.
Well, look, I mean, he had an incredible year last year, to be honest, from like a pure efficiency standard. I mean, dude averaged 25, 26 points a game, 50% field goal percentage, 9% free throws again. Very efficient year from Kevin Durant. But obviously he's on the last couple years here. When you look at Kevin Durant in his career, a lot of people weren't sure what you should give up at this point in time for him. When you're talking about Ime Udoka, you bring up a great point. Ime Udoka, very talented head coach. If he can stay away from fucking his boss's, wife, then maybe he'll stay in Houston for quite some time as opposed to Boston. But Dylan Brooks is whatever. The Jalen Green, moving on from Jalen Green, that's a big decision for them.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it pays off. The Magic just had a huge trade with the Memphis Grizzlies to get Desmond Bane there. I don't know if you saw that or not. They give up like 4 first-round picks. But he's a younger guy under contract for a lot longer, too.
This move tells me the Rockets want to win the title next season. They're thinking next season, maybe the Nets.
Jonathan Gold says Houston close. They just sold the house. They really didn't. They give up 5 second-round picks.
Yeah, they still got their all-star Sigan. He's still there.
Yeah. Obviously, giving up Jalen Green is a big decision. Dylan Brooks. Yeah. I don't fucking care about that. That's probably just to make the money work. They only gave up 1 first-round pick for this, which in a league where you're seeing like, what is that Bane? Oh, hold on.
The first round pick is going to be a low pick. At least I believe it is, based on the Rockets record.
Yeah, I want to see if I can find the full details on the Desmond Bane trade, because the Orlando Magic gave up. Yeah. So this is why I'm saying, acting like you sold the house. This is not. This is, they gave up stuff for sure. But look at what we just saw for Desmond Bane. And Desmond Bane, been a very good player with the Memphis Grizzlies. But they traded away KCP and Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and 1 potential first-round pick swap. That's a lot for Desmond Bane. That's a lot. JR for 2 says, hell yeah, the Rockets got rid of Jalen Green. I don't know if John feels exactly the same way. don't know if he feels exactly the same way or not, but yeah. I didn't think we were going to get breaking NBA news the couple hours before the NBA Finals, but you never know what's going to happen on Sports Wars.
There you go.
Yep.
You never know what's going to happen. Beardo, what do you got going on, man?
Nothing much. Just chilling. I also have family in town, so I'm just taking it easy. That's it.
There you go. What about you, John?
I was supposed to have family in town, but those plans got changed. So, yep. Gonna be recording later on and relaxing, eat some lunch. And so far, you're right about Gotham season 4. It ain't that. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not great.
It all starts to fall apart.
It's not that great.
It all starts to fall apart.
There you go.
Rockets gave the Suns a 10th overall pick. Yeah, I understand. They gave up 1 first-round pick. They didn't give up 4. 5 second-round picks does not equate to 3 first-round picks. Just doesn't. Which is why the ones that were included are all second-round picks. Not saying you can't pick up important guys. You absolutely can. But
it's like probably a bunch of non-guaranteed contract guys.
Chris Caran, what about the College World Series? College World Series is happening today. LSU's up 1-0 on
Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina. So
Yeah,
broke the 27-game win streak.
I watched last night. LSU starter, 130 pitches, complete game, first complete game shutout. Was that first complete game shutout in the College Baseball World Series since 2018?
Wow.
So, yeah.
They won 1-0.
1-0. Yeah, it was a pitcher's duel.
Yeah,
but I did watch it yesterday.
We'll see if LSU pulls it off, or if Coastal Carolina continues their kind of unexpected run.
Mm-hmm.
That is happening. All right. Well, that's going to be it for us, guys. I think we're all done. Thanks for watching over on Rumble or over here on YouTube, wherever you guys do decide to watch. I'll be live a little bit later today, my normal stream on my channel. And that's about it. Thanks, guys. Oh, Alex McCarthy says, I went to Coastal. Alex McCarthy went to Coastal Carolina. So I'm rooting for Coastal Carolina for you, Alex. And because fuck the SEC, you know?
Okay.
All right, guys. That's it. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.